That Aston Villa's pre-season has officially wrapped up. It's all done, it's all finished. We had loads of games in the last few days, just a flurry of games against good opposition to finish everything up. And I thought before we get into the season proper, which starts in 4 days, I think it is, as I'm recording this video, against Newcastle, which seems mental. It doesn't even feel like last season's ended and we're back into the next season. I thought I would compile my top 5 things that we have learned about Aston Villa going into the new season from this pre-season tour, the good, the bad, and unfortunately maybe one thing that's a little bit on the ugly side. If you are enjoying all of the content on the channel though, please be sure to leave a like down below. Subscribe for more Aston Villa content going forward. We're going to be covering everything that happens next season. And let's not forget, there's still a few weeks of the transfer window left, and I expect a little flurry of movement in and amongst the Villa ranks going in towards transfer deadline day. No phallic objects in ears. That's the one thing that we've lost in this world since they stopped doing the live coverage. But nonetheless, we are going to be covering all of that on the channel. But let's start looking at Aston Villa's pre-season and what we have learned. As you can see down below me, we kick things off where a lot of our senior first teamers were not with the squad. I think it was only Barkley, Buendia and Kamara. That type of ilk of player were with us for the first 2 games. We lost to Walsall and then we went over and lost to Hansa Rostock. Not a fantastic start to pre-season, but it was mainly the youngsters that were playing in these games. These were the first 2 games. These were go and get some minutes under your legs, go and have a run out, go and start stretching out the old quads, the old hamstrings, get used to your knees feeling like crap. Because we're back and the season is about to kick off. So not too worried about those. I think it was a goal from Jacob Ramsey in the Rostock game. And then a lot of the first teamers begun to join up with the team. Not all of them, but a fair amount of them for the Eintracht Frankfurt game as well as St. Louis SC. 2-2 in the Frankfurt game. Rogers and Watkins, I believe it was, with the goals. And then 2-1 against St. Louis, getting our first win of pre-season. It was Watkins again, and I believe Malen getting his first goal of the pre-season. We're going to be talking about both of those lads coming up very, very shortly. And then we moved on. I'll put the big chunk of them. Maybe I'll get out the way. I'll squeeze out the way for you and look at the big chunk of the games from the rest of the USA tour in Nashville, where we drew 2-2 with Nashville. Watkins getting another goal in that game, and Malen, I believe, getting another assist. And then probably the best game of pre-season itself, and that was Aston Villa 4, AS Roma 0. I mean, fantastic game, really. Watkins getting another goal. I think it was Buendia, wasn't it, with an absolute peach of a free kick as well in that game. I mean, beating Roma 4-0. Yes, Roma aren't the force that they used to be fair. Or, credit where it's due. They're not the force they used to be. But nonetheless, we managed to get a good win over them. And then we went over to Francais, Voulez-vous, and Olympique de Marseille, where a certain player got a couple of goals but did get his shirt torn in half by Tyrone Mings. We did lose that game 3-1. Ultimately, Marseille played that game at a pace, an intensity and a foul rate that would suggest that this is next season's Europa League final, not a pre-season friendly. But, fair enough to them. They got the win in the end of the day. And there were a couple of things in that game that was slightly worrying. Perhaps we looked a little bit shaky and a couple of players not playing their best. And then we went over to Villarreal, where we did get our final 2-0 win of the pre-season. And it's that man, John McGinn, with an absolute outrageous goal. Or was that in the Marseille game? That might have been in the Marseille game. In the Villarreal game, though, one thing that was very, very apparent, I think it was Ollie Watkins got another goal in that game as well. And it might have been Emiliano Buendia as well. But George Hemmings, wow, what a player. But now we know the results of the preseason. We did see Evan Gosson as well play in both the Marseille and the Villarreal games. So he must be shattered for going playing in France, flying over to Spain, playing in Spain. Now he's back to Bodymoor Heath to get ready for Newcastle United on Saturday. But let me get over here. Let's get into my top 5 things. There are going to be some highlights in here as well, talking about some things. But we have to get into some honourable mentions first. First honourable mention is out to a couple of youngsters in this Aston Villa squad who have shown, for me, that they're ready to step up and actually play a part in Aston Villa's 25-26 Premier League, Europa League, FA Cup and Carabao Cup season. Now, principal amongst these three players is a certain Jimmo Alaba. I'm going to put up one clip above my face right now where he pressed. He won the ball after Tielemans pressed high up the pitch, and he slotted a lovely ball through to Malen, who did get the goal in the end of the clip. As you can see, he played really, really well. Now, he comes on and he generally plays in that either number 9 role or the number 10 role as well. He can also play on the left or right hand side of an attack. 18 years of age, 6'1", 6'2" type build, an absolute unit, athletic to all hell, and some fantastic technical ability with the ball at his feet as well. He has proven beyond a doubt that he will be involved in the first team in the coming seasons. Two others that I think I have to give a shout out to, and one of them, if I can find one of the Twitter compilations that someone's made, I'll chuck it up on the screen somewhere. It might be over there, or I might just put it over my face again and put me in the bottom corner. But George Hemmings, especially against Villarreal, he looked absolutely outstanding. A fantastic youngster, signed in from the Nottingham Forest Academy. He's only 18 years of age, recently signed a new deal with Aston Villa. Probably one of those like senior contracts, tying him down to X amount of years. And it might be that these two players have had this fantastic pre-season, then we try and find loans for them. I don't think that's the case. I think George Hemmings looked absolutely settled and in place in that midfield. Obviously, it is a midfield that has a lot of competition in it with Ross Barkley, Amadou Onana, Yuri Tielemans, Boubacar Kamara, Lamar Bagard can even step into there. But I think that Hemmings looks really, really good in that role, and he could be one to look out for. And then the final youngster that I think deserves a shout out is Tristan Rowe. Came in and played a few games at right back. Obviously, Kostan Nedeljkovic has departed the club. We're left with Matty Cash, Lamar Bagard to an extent, but he has been playing in a different position, which we're going to get onto a little bit later on. We have obviously Tristan Rowe at the club still. Andrés Garcia, we don't know really what's going on with him. He's been injured, so he probably won't be in the fold for a little while. So really, we're just left with Matty Cash, which is worrying to say the least. Even though he did get an assist or two this pre-season, I think he's still not looked quite up to standard. But Tristan Rowe has come in and actually put in a couple of really good performances at right back. Another youngster, 18, 19 years of age, just come off of that treble season for the under-18s, FA Youth Cup winner. And the last time we had a couple of FA Youth Cup winners, you're looking at the likes of Louis Barry, who hasn't quite worked out for him, but it might work out for him now on loan at Stoke City. Carney Chukwuemeka, obviously the move to Chelsea really ruined his career, but a lot of potential there, as well as Jaden Philogene as well. So decent calibre of player comes from those FA Youth Cups, and those three for me have been outstanding and proven that they could be ready to play a big part next season. Final shout out goes to, or honourable mention, goes to a youth player, but not really a youth player because he was involved quite a lot last season, but Lamar Bagard, for me, has been an absolute standout of this pre-season. I think he's played about 66 different positions, and he gets an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 consistently in every single position. There were talks of him possibly being sold or loaned in the summer. That isn't going to come to fruition. I think Unai Emery likes him too much. And to have a player, you know what he is? He's like, to me, maybe this is a bit too high of a praise so early in his career, but he sort of gives me like Dutch James Milner vibes. Do you know what I mean? We can chuck him at left back. We can chuck him at right back. He can play centre mid. He can play CDM. He can play centre back. He can play 8 different positions, it feels like, for Aston Villa and play every single position really, really well. In this pre-season, I think he's been fantastic. I think he's going to be a huge asset to the team going forward. But let's get in to my top 5, the one you've been waiting for. We'll start at the bottom with number 5. And in at number 5, we have to give a shout out, I think, to a player who was going to be sold at the start of the transfer window. That has all gone quiet. He's had an absolutely fantastic pre-season, and I know, again, it is pre-season. We can't get too sucked in to a pre-season. I remember when Jota had a good pre-season for us a few seasons ago, and everyone thought he was going to play a big part. Obviously, did not, but we know he has talent. He's had absolute player of the season potential. Well, he had a player of the season in the Championship for Norwich. That's right, he came from Argentina. It is Emiliano Buendia. I'll put his 2 goals that he has got this pre-season, including that absolutely outrageous free kick. I'll overlay it over the screen now as I go into the bottom corner. Hi there. But Emiliano Buendia signed, club record signing at the time, I believe it was. Coming off of a season in the Championship where he got like 17 goals and 15 assists. It was outrageous. Came into the Villa team, didn't quite work for him. In and out of the team. Injuries, loan over to Bayer Leverkusen last season. But he has played a big part in this pre-season. And I don't think that Emery, the type of manager that Emery is, he wants to know exactly how his team's going to play, exactly how his players are going to play, drill it into them, ready for the season. And I understand that our squad depth isn't quite what it was this year. But how many minutes Emiliano Buendia has got and how well Emiliano Buendia has played over this pre-season, getting those 3 goal contributions, I think he is going to have a part to play. And I think that Emiliano Buendia has come back from this loan to Bayer Leverkusen, where there was an option to buy it that didn't materialise. And you can tell he loves Aston Villa. I really do think Emiliano Buendia loves Aston Villa and he wants to play for this team. He wants to play in Europe. He wants to play at the top level. He's 28, 29 now. This is the time. This is his prime of his career. And if this pre-season is anything to go by, Emiliano Buendia could provide a very valuable asset to Aston Villa this season. He can play in, again, 3 positions across the front 3. He's played out on the right-hand side for a majority of his career, but he's also very comfortable operating in that number 10 role. I believe that slot out to the right and left is mainly going to be occupied by the likes of Malen, possibly Morgan Rogers on the left, or Gosson on the right or left. Again, he can play either, and then Morgan Rogers in the middle. So he can provide a, hopefully, world-class, maybe just below world-class option off of the bench and a rotation option for those 3 positions. And I think this pre-season he has shown to everyone behind the scenes at Aston Villa that he is more than ready to step up and have his best season in claret and blue. But now we need to move on to number 4. In at number 4, I'm trying to balance out the good with the bad here, is Aston Villa are really struggling to move on dead weight. Okay? Leander Dendoncker hasn't featured in this pre-season whatsoever. Of course, we are looking to negotiate a termination of his contract, which is going to cost the club in a payout to the player. There's literally no one that will take him off of our hands because we gave these players ridiculous salaries when we did sign them. Leon Bailey has looked like an absolute shadow of his former self. I don't think he has a part to play in this Villa team, especially with Guasson coming in, who primarily played as an inside forward on the right-hand side of the attack last season in Nice. And we have 3 left-backs at the club. Why do we need Ian Matson, Luca Digne, who's just signed a new contract, and Alex Moreno? It's too many senior players on really, really high wages that we just don't need to have on the books. But we just can't shift them. We can't get rid of them at all, you know what I mean? And it's a worry to see that we have so much dead wood just floating around in this squad that we just have nothing to do with, nowhere for them to go. Because again, Leon Bailey, where's he going to... He's on like 140, 120 grand a week. And he can, you know what I mean? He really has not played well this pre-season whatsoever. Where are we going to find a suitor for an Alex Moreno who's on 70 odd grand a week, and he's 31 now? The loan to Nottingham Forest obviously didn't really work out for him in the end last season. So are we just going to have 3 senior left backs on the book? Are we going to try and move Ian Matson into a different position to try and make it slightly more cost effective? And in this mad world of SCR or whatever it is, where the contract and wage to revenue sort of actually matters, it's just a worry that they're all here, and I don't know if Villa have a plan for them. Number 3, and that is going to be a bit of a double header. You get your bog off, you get your 2-for-1 special, and that is that Ollie Watkins and Donyell Malen look like they are sharp and ready for this season. And I think, bold prediction for the season, I'm going to try and do another video going through my sort of predictions for pre-season. For the season. I think Ollie Watkins is going to have his first 20-goal Premier League campaign. I think he's going to do it. On the screen, I'll flick it up here, is our final goal involvements for the pre-season, thanks to AVFC Stato. Fantastic Twitter account. If you don't follow them, please do, because they just throw out some fantastic stuff. Ollie Watkins finishing on 5 goals. I believe there is an argument that he did get an assist as well. Malen on 2 goals and 3 assists. You'll see there, Buendia and Ramsey on 2 goals and an assist. Rogers on 2 goals. McGinn on a goal and an assist. And then Moreno, Cash, Digne, Jimo Alaba, Yuri Tielemans and Boubacar Kamara on assists as well. But that is 10 goal involvements in, I think, 5 games for Watkins. He got 5 and 5. Malen, I think, might have played 6 games instead of 5 and obviously got the 5 goal involvements. Those two are looking on absolute fire. And I'll overlay some of the goals as I'm talking about them now. They're not tap-ins. Ollie Watkins seems to have decided that his heading ability is now going to be on par with that of Peter Crouch. And before you say anything, he has the most headed goals in Premier League history, because he has just been absolutely firing them off his dome like rockets, like missiles, into the back of the net. And a couple of other goals that he's got have been very, very good as well. And a couple of them are un-Watkins of last season, like, in the sense of their first-time finishes, their tight finishes into good angles. Something I think he lacked last season. And Malen, again, I'll overlay some of his goals and assists. You know, absolute demon down the right-hand side, skimming players for fun, putting lovely balls across the box for the likes of Rogers and Watkins, playing really, really well. And his 2 goals, very well worked. And the first goal especially, I believe it was against Nashville, or it might have been against St. Louis, was absolutely gorgeous the way he cut in and put it into the far corner. Keeper, absolutely no chance. And when you have your 2 main strikers / attackers, 1 winger, technically maybe, I don't know, Malen, in that type of form going into the season, it has to fill you with confidence. And it does for me. And number 2, and I have to just give this one, before we get into number 1, I have to give this one a shout out to the entire squad. I have to say, the entire squad, maybe bar a few, I'm not going to name names, but I think you know who you are, because I might have mentioned them earlier in this video, but the whole squad, I have to say, I've never seen a Villa squad in the last couple of years come back for pre-season and in every training video, in every game situation, look so fit and sharp. Ollie Watkins looks like a man possessed, right? Yuri Tielemans has muscles bulging out of places that I didn't even realise he could get a muscle. Leicester fans tried to tell us he was fat. Do you know what I mean? He has come back looking so sharp for this pre-season. John McGinn looks like he is in the best shape of his life. 31 years of age, coming into Captain Villa for like, what, the 4th season in a row now? And he looks absolutely ready to go, firing. Even Matty Cash, to an extent, played better in this pre-season than I've ever seen him and looked sharper, looked quicker. Kamara, on the back of his new contract, coming off of a dodgy season last year with fitness and injuries, he looks so sharp. Onana looks amazing, in really good shape. Looks like he might have even bulked up a bit. Jacob Ramsey looks back to the old Jacob Ramsey, sharp, quick, powerful running. I don't know what they, maybe it's because none of them have actually had a break. Like, footballers just don't get a pre-season break anymore, do they? They're literally like, play the entire season, go and play some international games, more than likely, if you're playing in the Premier League. Come back for the early training camp because, hey, we've got to make money and get you over to the USA for a quick tour. Or the Premier League wants you to go to Asia and play a little cup that means nothing. Or they want you to go over to USA, or they want you to go over to Saudi Arabia. Like, there's just so much going on, they don't really get a break. But I have to say, whether we've changed things around back, like behind the scenes at the club, because even Pau Torres looks like he might have bulked up a little bit, which I never thought I'd say there. But they all look sharp. They all look in great shape and ready for the season to go. And that's just a shout out to the whole club in general and the work ethic and the pride of these players, because they look all fantastic. And number 1, and we're going to end it on a slightly sour note. Maybe. Slightly sour. I don't know. But we've got to be realistic on this channel. I think that the pre-season has shown that we still need to make some signings. Our defence has been a bit susceptible to being all over the place. I think we could still use a winger. I know that we've brought Gasson in, but I think he might play in that number 10 role. I think Leon Bailey, we have no depth really there on the left-hand side either. It might be Ramsey and Rogers, I don't know. But I think we need another attacking player. I don't think we need a midfielder, but I think we definitely need a right-back still. That's the glaring position. We need a right-footed centre-back to provide a solid level of backup for Konsa. And it's been a hard transfer window. There's been all the reports. We had these plans to sign a winger, a right-footed centre-back, a right-back, maybe even a backup striker. And they haven't come to fruition because we haven't managed to sell anyone. And I think this pre-season has just highlighted to me, we need to make more signings. We have 3 weeks. Let's hope we can do it. I have it, my top 5 takeaways from Aston Villa's pre-season. Now, over the next couple of days on the channel, we're going to have a tier list of the performances over pre-season coming out. We're also going to have our predictions for next season's Premier League, and that is from a team point, every competition that we're in, and an individual perspective as well. And then, of course, on Friday, the big one, the Newcastle United match preview. So all that good stuff is still coming. So leave a like, subscribe down below. I'll see you guys soon.